So we are SIEL and Vital, and we are the team animation of Caritas Flanders, and we work in the post-mobile living project in Ghent. And by this presentation, we want to give you a little bit of an insight of what we do in our daily job and the expertise that we have built up, and commentaries that we have about the project. So we will put up a little overview of what we will talk about. So we will frame the project, why it is there, what we do exactly. Then we will talk about our approach to both formal and informal education with the children at the site. And then at the end we will give you some critical considerations and recommendations. And then you can ask some questions if you want afterwards. Okay, so why does this project exist? In Ghent in recent years we've had some prevalent issues with homelessness and squatting of Roma people. And at one point, as you can see on the picture, there were some self-built camps by Romani people on the outskirts of the city. So for the city, this was an eyesore, and the city council decided to start the post-mobile living project in order to help the people who lived in these self-built camps. Because the self-built camps, they had no basic amenities like electricity, heating, running water. The objective of the project is to offer individuals and families a living space, to give them a place to live with basic amenities, and so they have a stable place to stay, and they can come out of their survival mode and start thinking in a more long-term way and working on their on bettering their own situation. So on the project, there's a lot of teams who are active, who try to support the Romani people who live there in language attainment, in sending the kids to school, in looking for a job, and ultimately in looking for a home, a place to live, to rent. The project is limited in time. The project takes about 3 years. We started with about 94 people. So yes, okay. Yeah, so as you can see, the people live in containers. They have a personal living space, and then there are communal bathrooms and kitchens. Okay, and I'm also going to explain what Caritas Flanders does on the site. So we do a few practical, we actually do the day-to-day management of the site. So it's, there's a very practical side in making sure all the infrastructure is intact, doing waste disposal correctly. But there's also a social element to it, to answer questions of people that they have, to solve any issues that people might have, and also to guarantee safety on the site and make sure the rules of the site are followed. Okay. And specifically, we are the team animation in Caritas Flanders. And this consists of different tasks that we take very seriously. First task is to provide fun and activities for the children and the residents on the site, to try to develop their capabilities, the talents, the creativity of the people. And then secondly, we also have a volunteer service and a community engagement program, because we think it's very important to try to include the wider neighborhoods into the project, to invite the neighbors so that they know what's going on the site, so that they can build up a relationship and contact with the people who live in the site. And we also have a volunteer program which mainly consists of local students who often have to do some community engagement work for their courses.
Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the different ways of learning we provide on the site. So we have the non-formal way of learning and the formal way of learning. We make a distinction in this presentation, but it's arbitrary. There are crossovers. It's not like there are two different things, but we made different approaches, so that's why we make this distinction. I will start with the formal way of learning. So that's education, and it's important for kids to have a basic good education. First, yes, so the formal learning, in that domain we focus on the basic school skills like reading, writing, mathematics, and the informal education is about learning during our activities, in interactions with their friends, so a more informal way. Okay, first I will talk about Roma and school attendance. Like you all know, it's a well-discussed topic. Everybody knows that, but it's important to see where it's rooted from. There is a big distrust and against big organizations. There is a lot of discrimination, which makes it difficult for people to send their kids to school, to trust the teacher, to trust the teachers and the schools. Also, maybe the parents didn't go to school when they were kids, or just 1 year, 2 years, so they can't really see the advantages of sending their kids to school. It's also a very strict and discipline-based structure, and our kids aren't always used to that, so it's very new, which can be scary for them, but also for the parents. And yes, another possible explanation is maybe they just held other priorities. Maybe they just want to be with their family. Maybe they want to do other stuff. And a last possible explanation we thought of is the circular migration. The people who live with us on the project, they often travel to their home country, which is Romania, and they come back for summer for seasonal work. So that makes it also difficult to send the kids to school if they travel twice a year back and forth. Yeah. Okay, so we created an approach on this. We made an approach on 3 levels. The first level is the children itself, and this is about just our activities and what we do on the site. So first we have our homework classes. Every Wednesday afternoon the children can come to us and we can practice just the basic school skills, so the formal learning skills. So we made this thing, it's called the Learning Championship. It's something to motivate them, and they have to do 3 tasks, so like reading, writing, and mathematics. When they every time they do that, they can cross out a box, and after 10 boxes, they can get a little reward. This really brings out their competitive side, and they like it a lot. This just only works for our children between 6 and 12 years old. Then we have other systems for the older and the younger children. So we have a voucher system for teenagers. It's like the last months, since they know the project is ending, their school attendance of our teenagers took a really bad turn. So we created this system, but we're still waiting to see if it would work. Every time they go to school, they get a point. And when they gathered enough points, they can go with us to a shop to buy something they really want, like boxing gloves or going to the fitness, things like that they really like. But we're waiting to see if it works. And for our preschoolers, we have preschool classes. We focus on preschool skills like drawing, gluing, working with scissors, but also the social skills like waiting for your turn, getting used to rules, to listening, sometimes sitting still. So that's what we do with the children on the site. Yes, this was a big trial and error process. We went through a lot of phases to look what is our best approach. First, we started with playing games with learning in the games, but that didn't work really well because they were just playing and very competitive and they just want to win, but they weren't busy with reading or writing or something like that. Also in group it didn't work. So now we've created this approach that is very individual. We work one-on-one with the children and we focus really on their level. So we have like a sheet where we note their levels and where they are on the different skills. Our classes are never obligatory, so they choose if they want to come in or they won't come in. They choose how long they want to stay. Do they want to stay 10 minutes and read just one page? It's fine. Do they want to stay longer? It's also fine. We know that we really focus on the extrinsic rewards. So we work with gifts, but now, this is what they see as a reward. This is what they find motivating. But we also give them a lot of social rewards, like motivating words. We try to work on their self-confidence, on their self-esteem, and we try to make a shift to a more intrinsic reward. But it's a process, and we're working on it. So we work on these two extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. Okay, the level 2 is more the relationship between the parents and the schools and the distrust we already talked about. Besides the distrust, there's also the language barrier. So Flemish is a difficult language, so it's very difficult for our parents to learn it, but they try their best, but they can't always understand the teachers, the exercises, the mails. It's very chaotic for them. But we try to discuss with them in an open and profound way, an understanding way. So we really want to talk with them why we find it important to send the kids to school, but we also really want to listen to them why it's difficult for them. It took us a long time, but now we really have a good relationship with the parents. They listen to us, we listen to them, and it's like giving and taking. So now it's a process of trust gaining, and by doing that, we're trying to build a bridge between the parents and the schools. An example we have is this child. We will call her Mona, and it was very difficult for her to go to school. She started crying, hyperventilating, she clung into a fence, she ran away. It was terrible for the child, but also for the mother, who was in a lot of stress because the child was like really not fine in school, and the child was also not fine. So we created an approach where one of us or other social worker went with the kids to school together with the parents, but then she said goodbye to the parents, and we sit with her in class for like 2 hours. By doing that, she had the time to settle in. We helped her understand the exercises, understand the structure of school, and it really helped her. By doing this a few times, she was like integrated completely into the system. She made friends, she understands how it works, and after a few weeks she can go by herself with the mom and there wasn't a problem anymore. And that's also very reassuring for the parents that they know that their child is safe. So that's an example. And then level 3, the schools. Like you all know, there's also a lot of discrimination in the schools, and they don't always understand the situations of the Roma families we work with. So we also want them to understand the difficulties and the situations our children and parents are in. So our other social worker who really tries to make the bridge between the schools and the parents has frequent meetings with them to really understand, to really explain the situation, why they don't always go to school and why it's difficult. Okay, so a little conclusion. We're still searching. It's like the conclusion of all our parts. It was a trial and error process and we're still searching. But we also find it important to know that there is the importance of dialogue on all different levels, to talk with the children, with the parents, with the schools, and like that we want to better the school attendance and to make the children feel loved in school, to the parents feel safe that their children are in the schools.
Okay, so as well as formal education, we also find it very important to do informal education, to give fun activities in which children can develop their talents, their social skills, and many more stuff. So as the team animation, we like to give a big variety of activities. So there's something for everybody. We do sports, we do creative activities, creating things, making art, playing games. So the first purpose is just to let the children have some fun time, that at that moment they don't have any worries, they can just relax and have a fun time. But also with these activities, we try to informally educate them. For example, a simple example is when they play Monopoly, there's also some formal education stuff that they can learn from that. They learn to count money, to save up money, to read the little cards with the information on. So in that way, in a fun way, they can also learn these basic skills. Secondly, we also try to go on excursions with the children. For example, to go ice skating in the city center, to go to sports schools. And in that way, we try to show them what kind of activities are possible. Because often they do not know, they tend to stay in their bubble and they do not know what other fun activities there are in the region. And also by doing that, we try to create a sense of belonging, of being just like anybody else and being able to participate in these activities that the city and the organizations in the city provide. One particular challenge that we had with organizing activities was gaining the trust of the parents. When we arrived as a team animation in September 2021, the people didn't know us, so the parents didn't know what we were going to do with their children, how we were going to handle them. So we started with small activities, locally on the site, not going anywhere. We knocked on people's doors and explained to them what where we were going to be, what the activity was going to be. Often we made like a flyer or a poster, so that helped. And then we did the activity, and afterwards the children went to their parents to tell what they have done. And so slowly we could start to build up a relationship of trust and confidence. They saw how we handled children, that we didn't do anything dangerous. And we used that to start to go on small excursions. For example, we went to the park, which was only a few hundred meters away, for like an hour, and then we came back. And the parents saw that the children came back safely, they were happy. We also took pictures, we showed them to the parents. And so in the last 2 years, we were able to build that relationship, gain the trust, and we could go on further and longer excursions. In the end, we went, for example, to a zoo in another town. We went there all day, and the parents just trusted us that we would bring the children back safely. So another issue that we faced when we started giving activities was that the children were very enthusiastically, they were ready to do activities, but they were very chaotic. It was hard to give a structured activity. So if you want to, for example, play a game, you have to have the time to explain the rules of the games. So the children have to listen, they often have to wait for their turn. In the beginning, this was not easy to do. So we had to look for ways to get them to follow the structure of the activity, to be calm, to have good behavior in that sense. And this is a tool that we created for that. And also the tool is to try to make them see and realize what behavior that they have is good and what behavior is not so good. So we created this system with the red and the green zone. We always have the name up, and then we have a picture of the child. And if their behavior is bad, first we give them a warning, but after a while, if they do not listen, if that's really bad behavior, like disrupting the activity, using bad words, scolding, throwing rocks or stuff, we can move the picture to the left and they go into the right zone. But of course, if they do their best afterwards, they apologize, they help clean up after an activity, we can move the picture back to the right. And they can go a lot to the left or a lot to the right. We've noticed that this system has helped. Our children are also very competitive, so they always want to be first, so they compare with other children, where am I in the system? If they go back, they ask themselves, why have they moved back? So yes, it has really helped to make them realize which of their behaviors are good and which of them are bad. In the beginning, there was a reward if they managed to stay in the green zone. But nowadays there's no more reward, but the system still works. They still want to be in the green zone, just to be in the green zone, to be on the good side. As we've said, we do a wide range of activities each week, and we have managed to build a good relationship with the parents. Also, if the behavior of the children is really bad, we can go and talk to the parents, explain their behavior of their children, and then the parents, they will believe us, and they will talk to their children about this. And also, this is already an achievement for us, because in the beginning, when we went to the parents to complain about the behavior of their child, they didn't really believe us, and they tended to choose to defend their children. But now, as we have developed a relationship of trust, they know that we will not invent anything, we will not try to humiliate their child, we only have the best in mind for their children. Oké, wachters. Ja, dat hebben we allemaal gezegd. Okay, so now we're going to continue to talk about some critical points and recommendations we have about the project. We hope that these recommendations can help with other projects, that they can take it into consideration. The first one is the limited time of the project. So the city of Ghent decided to make a 3-year project to try and go from this situation of these self-built camps to full employment, fully sending the kids to school, both parents having a job. But of course, 3 years is simply not enough to do that. You need a longer period of time to help with this, to try to change this generational poverty. It is impossible to change everything in 3 years. Also, this, so yes, for example, the forming the bond with the parents has taken all the time we already had, and now would be the point that we can go the next step, but the project is already ending. Yes, we're sad that we cannot move on and go on with the project. Also, this short-termness also discourages some of the teenagers to go to school well, because they're thinking like, why should I go to school if I don't know what my future is going to be? Maybe when the project ends, I will go back to my home country, and then everything that they taught me in school and the Dutch language that I learned, it will all be for nothing. So it's very hard to motivate them in that way to remain going to school. So in general, the time is too short to gain this stability and to truly change the situation.
Okay, another critical consideration we made is about the purpose of total integration. So like we talked about before, the city council had a very tight frame and very specific purposes like total integration, full employment, everything we talked about before. But this is originated from the idea that we should all be individually and independently beings. We should all live in our own house, somewhere in a cute street. The parents have to work, and every child has to go to school. But that comes from a vision that we really want to integrate them and shape them in our society. Well, by doing that, there's no room for their culture. Like the importance of the family and some kind of things are just forgotten by this and are like pushed away. And talking about this, we can also ask questions about the location of our project. It's in an outer corner of the city. Nobody really knows it's there. You enter it by following an unpaved road next to a railway line. So it's like kind of hidden in our city. So is this integration? We can ask questions about that. And also like we can ask questions, do they even want to live the way a generic Flemish family wants to live? The project is originated from that idea. They want to live like us. But do they? There was no place for their voice when the project is created. So that's kind of problematic. Besides that, you can see the project as like a little mini village with their own rules. So we have a different waste disposal system. We have visiting hours. They have to go to an evaluation every 3 months. There is permanence. There is a lot of staff. They're being watched at. So this doesn't really is the same as a normal society where everybody lives its life. So will this help to integrate them in society if we create another society in this project? We have a lot of questions. So What is our recommendation? We should see integration as a mutual process where we work together, where we benefit from each other, where we speak with them when we create projects. What do they want? Where they want to get help with, and not speak about them. So that's why what we also find important, we do that for our activities, for our tools. We always talk with the parents. Do you find this okay? How can we help you? How can we help your children? So we have a few examples. Like the preschoolers. In Belgium, it's very important to send your kids to school when they are 3.5. But some parents on our project don't think their child is ready. So who are we to judge that their judgment is not right? Maybe we should give them time, because by pushing them, we will create a troubled bond between the child, the parent, and the school, and there will already be a distrust from the beginning. So we think we have to give them time, let them have stability, and let them feel safe before we push them to go to school and live their life like us. And a second example is the question we ask ourselves: what is self-development? Like in Flemish. Yeah, in Flanders, I mean, it's common to send your kids to 3 hobbies. They have to learn to do arts, they have to do music, they have to do sports, and they have a whole week full of hobbies. But that's what we see as relaxing, that's what we see as fun. But do they see that as fun activities? Like maybe they just like being on TikTok, maybe just like watching a movie, like dancing, or taking care of their brothers, their nephews. Maybe they find that relaxing. So we want to really give them the chances to have a lot of experiences, to let them learn new activities, to let them learn a study, but we won't push them to do that like we would do it. But of course, we find it important to give them chances. And then a last critical consideration and recommendation is the managerialism, controllability, and conditionality that lies in the origins of our project. So the home of the people is conditionally. They have to show that they search for work, that they want to work, that they go to Dutch classes, that they send the children to school. So that makes it very stressy for the parents. They feel my home is conditionally, and how will they gain stability and how will they feel safe? They have to, if they get evaluated every 3 months and they have to prove that they're doing their best. So this really leads to the short-term thinking, like I have to do this between these 3 months, otherwise I will lose my home. And that goes into the purpose of the project, because we just want them to learn to long-term thinking and to be stable and to get to reconsider priorities, but by doing that it's not possible. So we recommend to just give them the space and the time to stop surviving and start living, because in this project they're still surviving and they're still trying to just keep a home and just feed their children. Okay. Yes, and on this, and then a little conclusion. So this was just a little overview of a few aspects of our project. And so given the borders and the limits and the frame of our project, we try to make the most of it, and we try to give chances to the children. We try to build bridges between the school. We try to gain confidence. We try to let the children gain confidence, and we try to make an educational growth and let them self-develop in the way they want. And that with all the respect for their own culture and yeah, voila. Okay. Yes, questions? Are there any questions?
Thank you, SIEL and Vital, for your příspěvek. Jak se to řekne? Contribution. Sorry. And thank you for your. I really like your approach, and I would like to know more. I have a lot of questions down here, but I have to ask our guests at first. So, if any one of you have any question, yeah.
Hi, I'm Mark. Thank you very much for interesting information that you provided. Like, it was very nice to have you here. I'd love to ask you about like the overall atmosphere of the local Flemish people, if like they accept the excluded families, or like how is it between them? How do you perceive it, maybe? Thank you.
There is still a lot of discrimination and negative thoughts about Romani people, but yeah, it's better in Flanders than in other countries because like they move to Belgium because it's better living here, better than in Romania or their home country, but it's like more hidden. It's like not very much on the surface, but there are kind of prejudices, there is a big judgment, but it's also changing. We try to create a bigger understanding, and yeah, but it will take a long time to let people change.
Thank you. And at school, like, is it getting better, or is there also a discrimination?
It depends from school to school. You have schools that really have an open view and they really understand why the children won't come every day of the week. So some schools are very understanding, but you also have schools that don't understand it at all. Like, how hard is it to send your kids to school? You just have to bring them and come back for them in the evening. So it really depends on like,
and
schools.
Is it like that maybe in your country that like some school is preferred by the majority of Flemish people, and that actually makes some schools rather excluded because like no family wants to send their children there, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
yes and no. You have like the schools in like the whiter neighborhoods and there are a lot of Flemish kids going there. But you also have the schools in other regions of our city that are more diverse and where the view is more open and they're like more open for other cultures. So it's really depends on where the school is located.
All right.
Yes, and also I think there's some schools that are in higher demand, but there are some systems in place to try, so everybody, there's always shortage of space in those schools, but they have a system in place where they try to randomly divide those places, and then people can give up their preferences, but they have to give up like 3 or 4 schools, and if you do not get chosen by the system to go to this school, you get another school. But it's mostly based on the location. People want to have a good school who is close to their neighborhood, but it's not always possible to get the closest school.
All right, because there is a big discussion in the Czech Republic whether to let the parents pick the school or not, or just send them to the closest school so that they wouldn't be the segregated schools. But thank you for everything.
Yes, you're welcome.
So thank you for your questions. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to ask another, but if you're okay with it, maybe other questions can be asked behind. Around the bar.
Yes, of course. You can always come up to us to ask any more questions. Yes.
So we also take the opportunity, and thank you again. Please applause.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention.